Some other things I look at, pipeline. And by the way, I should say, before MVP, I would spend typically on a Friday afternoon, sometimes a Wednesday afternoon, I would spend a lot of time looking at what the next month was probably going to be like. I would look at our HAEs coming up. Eventually, once we added auditory processing, how many of those evaluations are coming up, tinnitus evaluations, how many of those are coming up. And because I knew my conversion ratio, or our conversion ratio, and because I knew how many HAEs there were and all these other appointment types, I could kind of guesstimate what our revenue for the next month was probably going to be. And, why is that important? Well, it allows you to plan and adjust. Maybe your reel ear machine is starting to get some mileage on it, and, you're thinking it might be time to upgrade. Maybe you're thinking about adding another service, and that's going to require some investment. Well, if you're going to have a good month coming up, then, it might be a good time to take the next step on that piece of it or that skill or service. But on the other hand, if you see that a slower month is coming up, maybe you hold off another month. Depending upon where you are in the country, things might be kind of seasonal, and you can kind of confirm that you're having the expected dip that you usually have for August. Here in the Philadelphia suburbs, everybody's away on vacation in August. And so I've just sort of given up on making August a great month because I'm going to be away. Some of my audiologists are going to be away. Patients are going to be away. I'm not really going to fight it. So, but by the same token, I want to see that, hey, September, pendulum's starting to come back, right? October, even more, November, even more, December, even more. So on the patient flow screen here, I look at a number of different things. I look at the pipeline, which is a great feature that they came out. Saves me, all those Wednesday afternoons or Friday afternoons. I will click on view over time. And this is just sort of a way of looking at opportunities versus units. So for this particular practice that we're looking at here, looks like they've had a rough summer and fall. But while back in the spring and March, they had a ton of opportunities. And what's interesting is you can see units, or all hearing aids really in this case, private pay and third party, they lag behind opportunities a little bit. So, it's probably, I'm guessing that's late March. They had a ton of opportunities, which turned into a whole bunch of units sold and probably revenue and payments in May. It's interesting to see how the opportunities that are in the pipeline are sort of a lagging indicator for units and revenue that you're probably going to have 30 or 60 days down the road. So that's something I'm always looking at, trying to figure out what's coming down the road. Let's see here. I also go to MVP Insights. There's nothing specific here that I'm always looking at. I'm just sort of scanning. MVP Insights, it will give you a couple of sentences that tell you, hey, this is what's happened in your practice this month compared to last month, or here's what's going on this quarter compared to last quarter. And you can see it's just one or two sentences to digest a little bit. As I understand it, they're probably going to be adding to this, and there'll be even some more nuggets in here that might help you. For me, it's just sort of a place to surf to and see what I can learn, see what trends there might be, and see if it confirms some things that I think are going well or not going so well, or maybe illuminates some things that I didn't realize were going well or not going so well. I think the MVP Insight screen is a very helpful one as well. If we go back to the KPI center, and what I'll often do here is sort of the bottom middle block there, I will take the revenue drop down and make that private pay plus TPA. And so when you do that, now the purplish bars become all of the hearing aids you've dispensed, and the, what are we calling that, blue or teal line represents the private pay hearing aids. So you may all know or remember in MVP language, units is private pay hearing aids. And so this is just a way to quickly scan, hey, what's the mix between private pay and third party, whether it's my practice, a practice I'm working with, whatever. And so you can see here, for instance, August in 25, this particular practice did 200 units altogether, and 186 of them were private pay. So good for them. In my own particular practice, I'm watching the third party portion of this shrink. Thankfully, it's getting smaller and smaller. Some of it is national trends. Some of it is what we're doing within the practice. Partially gives you a sense of where revenue is coming from with hearing aids, but this also gives you a sense as to just workload too. I feel like when I was dispensing hearing aids mostly all day, every day, I always sort of felt like 25 or 30 units was probably what I could do in a month. If it got above that, I sort of felt like the quality of my work might be slipping a little bit. This is when, of course, we were a smaller practice. It also gives you a sense as to, look, hey, how much work are we doing here? Like, if everyone in the practice is doing 30 units, well, then, maybe it's not a good time to do some advertising next month because everyone might get a little burned out, or maybe it's time to hire another provider or something like that.